Alan Matheson Turing was born on June 23, 1912, in London, United Kingdom. His parents belonged to the middle class. His father worked in the Indian Civil Service, and his mother came from an educated British family. Even as a child, Alan stood out from others. He paid little attention to social norms, but was incredibly curious. At just 6 years old, he taught himself to read, and by 10, he understood on his own how steam engines worked. At school, he was not liked by teachers, considered strange, a dreamer, as his thoughts often wandered far from the lesson's topic, but those who knew him better saw something more: brilliant logic, and an unusual ability to think about things others couldn't even grasp. As a teenager, Turing befriended a boy named Christopher Morcom. It was his first true emotional friendship, which deeply affected him. Sadly, Christopher died of tuberculosis at just 16. This event became a turning point in Turing's life. From then on, he immersed himself in science, believing that through mathematics and logic, one could understand the mysteries of the universe, even consciousness itself. After graduating from Cambridge University, Turing became one of the youngest and most talented mathematicians of his generation. He wrote a paper on computable functions, and this is where his brilliant idea first appeared: a universal machine capable of performing any logical operation. Today we know this machine simply as the computer. It was 1936. His ideas were decades ahead of their time. But the world was moving toward war. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, and soon all of Europe was engulfed by World War II. The British government secretly gathered the nation's brightest minds in a place called Bletchley Park. Their goal? To decode the German military code known as Enigma. It was a machine that changed messages through millions of combinations. No one had ever managed to break it before. Alan Turing arrived at Bletchley Park and quickly became the driving force behind the operation. He created a logic machine called the Bombe, which analyzed Enigma codes through hundreds of calculation sequences per second. Together with his team, he achieved what seemed impossible. They broke the German ciphers. This allowed the Allies to learn enemy plans, stop attacks, and save millions of lives. Historians now say that Turing's work may have shortened the war by as much as 2 years, but although his work saved the world, the public knew nothing. The entire operation was classified. Turing received no medals, no recognition. He was forbidden to tell anyone what he had accomplished, and after the war, his tragedy began. In 1952, the police discovered that Alan Turing was in a relationship with another man. At that time, homosexuality was considered a crime in the United Kingdom. He was charged with gross indecency. The court offered him a choice: imprisonment or chemical castration. He chose the latter, as he wanted to continue his work. However, the side effects were terrible. The hormone therapy caused depression, physical changes, and his genius slowly faded. The British government, to which he had given everything, turned him into an outcast. Even during that time, he continued to create. Turing began writing about artificial intelligence and proposed what is now known as the Turing test. A question: how can you tell whether you are talking to a human or a machine? It was the first step into the AI era we live in today. His mind saw further than his age could comprehend. But on June 7, 1954, at just 41 years old, Alan Turing was found dead in his home. Next to him was a half-eaten apple, laced with cyanide. It was officially declared a suicide. However, many still believe that his death was not an accident, but a consequence of the cruelty of the state against the man who had given it victory. Only many years later, when the war documents were declassified, did the world learn the truth: who Alan Turing really was. A genius who broke not only Enigma, but also the boundaries between man and machine. In 2009, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom publicly apologized for how the state treated him, and in 2013, Queen Elizabeth II officially granted him a posthumous pardon. Today, Alan Turing's name is written in history as one of humanity's greatest minds. Without him, there would be no computers, no artificial intelligence, no digital age. His work changed not only the war, it changed our future. He once said, "We can only see a short distance ahead, but we can see plenty there that needs to be done." And indeed, Turing saw the future he would never live to witness. But today, as our world is ruled by calculations, algorithms, and artificial intelligence, his spirit still lives in every machine that thinks. Alan Turing, the man who saved the world, but whose world could not save him.